Hey, everybody. We wanted to welcome you to the Hurdy Burke Internet Broadcast Network, and this is the third podcast, The Power Hour, with Danny L. Smith, and I believe tonight...
Hey, Hurdy.
Yeah.
Hey. No,
yeah, hey. What?
Nothing. Just excited to be here.
You interrupted me, man. No, I'm kidding.
I know. I was going to mess you up a little bit, dude.
Hey, anyhow, Danny's on messing with me, and that's good. But I have no problem with that. But anyhow, he's so excited he's going to be talking about the law of process tonight. So, Danny, why don't you jump in and welcome to the Hurdy Burke Broadcast Network. And I guess we got a lot of folks that are going to be listening to the on-demand. So jump in and give us some good edification, my friend.
You know, I purposely kind of put this one, in John's 21 irrefutable laws, he's got it at number 3. And this is our third podcast episode with kind of a build it out in front mentality, that we're building ourselves and our business out in front of where we're at. And I started this series off 2 weeks ago with the law of environment out of John's book on growth, the 15 Invaluable Laws of Growth. Then last week jumped into the law of the lid, which is his first law of leadership. Jump past his influence, if you will. Today we're going to talk about the law of process, and but I went through I did that purposely. The environment, that we put ourselves in environments to grow. We put ourselves in environments to learn, because we have to learn in order to grow. We have to grow to get to where we want to go. You know, we're 5.5 months into a new year, and a lot of us aren't near where we wanted to be this time of the year. We set goals, intentions, we had ideas, and we had some aspirations what we wanted to do this year, but most of us aren't willing to grow. I'm willing to grow, but I've got to be sure I'm growing in the right areas to get to where I want to go. I know I'm kind of talking around in circles here, but if we want more, we have to be more. We have to be something different than what we are that got us to where we're at right now. I really believe that it has all to do with our growth. John will tell you in his growth book that if he had a choice between being goal-oriented and growth-oriented, he'll take growth-oriented every time. You can't go, I'm trying not to get too deep here. I'm already getting deep into this thing, but I need to move on. But if I grow, I'm going to obtain my goals. If I obtain my goals without growth, though, it spikes and I go back to where I was. I'm 62 years old. I can't keep taking 2 steps forward and 2 or 3 steps back. I want to grow and obtain goals, and that's why I did the law of environment first, because we put ourselves in an environment. Sometimes it's tapes, books. Sometimes that's it's always tapes and books and the people we hang around with. That's a big part of our environment. So anyway, move on from that. Last week we did the law of the lid. You know, a lot of times we can't tell the lids. Other people need to tell us about the lids that we have. If we're not obtaining our goals, we got to look at our lids. We got what's holding us back. We bumped up against our current, and I'm going to be careful about saying this, but our current capabilities. We have to get past our current capabilities that we recognize we're in a comfort zone, and we don't realize that we have so much more. I'm not an out-of-the-box thinker guy. I'm an in-of-the-box. And I've got so much potential. I've just got to recognize that potential. I've got to recognize what that potential is so that I can grow into something more. If I don't recognize that potential that I have and tap into that potential, it doesn't matter learning something. I have to raise that lid. We have so many opportunities around us each and every day, but we don't get the potential that we have also. So anyway, kind of talked in circles around that. But so today we're going to talk about the law of process, and we're going to add the process to this to this series. We're going to be talking about the process as we move forward in the marketing, in our sales and marketing part. And I think most people listening to this are very concerned about their own individual sales and marketing. I've had 2 meetings today with potential referral partners, and one of them I asked him, what's your biggest struggle? And he said, processes. This guy has got 25 to 30 people on his team. The other person I'm meeting with, he's a single contributor, and he's talking to me about things, his business, what's going on, and he's describing processes that he is building. So processes are so important. But we can't depend upon our processes. And John says leadership develops daily, not in a day. We can't depend upon our processes getting it done for us today. It's over a long term. Processes compound. Let me say this, Herdy.
Okay.
Processes, if we're using processes correctly, they compound, like compound interest. What we do today, we can build on for tomorrow. My Stop Wasting Handshakes program. What we're doing I go out and meet people today. I want that to compound over periods of time. What can I do for these people? How can I help people? I don't want to waste those handshakes. Your Business Warrior workshop series that you've got going that starts tomorrow, right? And I mean, all of those people in there are from relationships that some of them, I've looked at the list, some of them you've had those relationships for a long time. How do we compound our leadership? Because leadership is about influence, nothing more, nothing less. And pretty much everything you say about leadership, you can also say about sales and marketing. You can say about the world that we live in each and every day. Herdy, I know you had some specific things you wanted to go through with this, so let me kind of slow down here a little bit and let you kind of tell us, what you wanted to ask.
Sure. So, Danny, you've got on this worksheet, if you want lasting improvement, if you want power, then you have to rely on a process. Can you dive into that a little bit?
Yeah, there's a difference between events. I could go some different routes on it, but I'm going to let me hit on it this way. Most of us think in terms of events. I had lunch with somebody today. That's an event, right? I had a glass of tea a while ago with somebody. That's an event. Earlier today, I did some social media. I did a post on one of my blogs, and I just did the post on my blog. But that's an event. But those events, that you might call them an event, but each of those are part of a process that I have. Both of these meetings that I had today, I was asked, hey, could we have lunch? Danny, could we have a cup of coffee, a glass of tea? Because I have been engaged with these two gentlemen, one of them for a number of years, another one for about 6 to 9 months. So give you an idea, John's got here John Maxwell, we're going through the book, or this law is out of the book, The 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership. An event, here's the thing, an event encourages decisions. Neither one of those events today that I had face-to-face, the coffee, tea this afternoon, the lunch, was anyone asked to make a decision at. Now, both of these individuals are potential key referral partners for me, and what they learned more about me, that I'm a key referral partner for them also. But if that was purely an event, us meeting, we would end it with, well, will you consider me as a referral partner? How can I depend upon, what can I do? Can I depend upon you to refer any clients my way? That's a decision. That's an event. A process encourages development. An event encourages a decision. A process encourages development. This is leadership. And leadership is, in essence, a marketing characteristic. It's also a sales characteristic. You want to attract. I work under the assumption that I want to always be contributing. I want to attract business. I don't want to go out and have to ask for business. Now, when it comes time, recognize the trigger, I will ask for the business. An event, people are motivated. Just had somebody tell me about 30 minutes ago that somebody had hired a motivation coach. And I went, a motivation coach? Well, that's the title of his company. He has motivation in there, and he's a coach trainer. Well, an event motivates people, but a process matures people. We've all been somewhere, Herdy, and we've paid money, we've heard a speaker, and we're all fired up. That happens when we go to the movies. I remember 1974 in San Diego, coming out of the movie theater on base and at the Navy base, and we just watched the Bruce Lee movie. Guess what I was motivated to do? Okay?
I bet. Mm-hmm.
So there's a difference there. So I don't know if that helped with your question or not, but there's a difference between events and processes.
Right. And so then you go on a little bit within this the law of process. It looks like you have the phases of leadership growth tied to this law of process, and you have 5 phases. Would you run through those with us?
Yeah, sure will. Very quickly, it's phase 1 is I don't know what I don't know, and I think that's most of us. I read a book this weekend called The Go-Giver by Bob Berg, and I forget the co-author's name. Now, I've been through that book, but it's been a few years. I saw somebody post it online. Dan Forbes posted it online this weekend that he was reading it, and I thought, yeah, I want to read that. And went and looked at my bookshelf, didn't have it, thought I did, couldn't find it, bought it online, and I read it. Now, I knew going into that book that there were things that I did know. But if you read that book for the first time, you open up that. Maybe that's a bad example for this, but I don't know what I don't know. I'm gonna get on a tangent here for a second. I don't know what I don't know. Okay.
What's new?
Yep. And John says, as long as a person doesn't know what he doesn't know, he isn't going to grow. Too many of us will pick up a book like that and go through that book and go agree, disagree, and don't learn squat. we just go, I don't learn it. Tomorrow, and we're going to have 10, 12 people in that class that you're that mastermind group, and you're talking about target marketing, and you're going to have people, well, that's not me. No, I don't do stuff like that. Well, I don't believe in YouTube like it's some kind of stinking religion. And we don't learn. If the books that I read, I finished a book this weekend about Leaders Who Last by Dave Croft. And, if I picked up that book and just read the book with to be a critic, by the way, there are no statues to critics, okay? But just to be a critic, there's no reason to even read the book. Unless somebody's paying you to be a critic, there's no reason to even read or watch something if that's all it is. But when you read something, when you listen to something, okay, what can I learn here? And anyway, the phases, phase one, I don't know what I don't know. Phase two is that I know that I need to know. You've moved past that. Well, I don't agree. I don't know what I don't know, and you don't try to learn anything different. In the phase two is I know that I need to know. This is when that happens. We realize that we need to learn something new. We need to learn how to lead better. We have to learn how to lead. Lead is nothing more than influencing. It's nothing more, nothing less. That's leading. It's really, really pretty simple. John has quoted it for years. There's plenty of people others that quoted it for years before him. Phase one, I don't know what I don't know. Number two, phase two is I know that I need to know. Phase three, I know that I don't know. That's when it starts getting powerful. You start knowing what you don't know. I don't know how to do this. I don't know. You realize you don't have some competence that you need. Okay. Phase three is I know. Go ahead.
So, Danny, does that mean that phase three is kind of like willing to start something in the process? You know it, and you need to know it from phase two, but you've got to be willing to start the process. So there's that willingness to be started, correct? Is that part of that phase three?
Yeah, that's a big part of it, and you're willing to drop the act. Okay, a lot of people they're just moving along based upon their high energy and their charisma. They got to stop it. They know what they don't know, and they go, "Whoa, I got to pick up my confidence." If I jump over to another book, Stephen Covey's Speed of Trust. We look at those four cores of credibility around intent and intent, integrity, capabilities, and results. A lot of people, they have great integrity. They're congruent. They're just great. And they have good intent. Man, they have high energy, a lot of good intent. And they're getting some results, but it's all based upon their energy. It's not based upon their competence.
Wow.
It's not, but yeah, that's when you move past that and you move into, I know, I grow, and it starts to show. That's John's phase 4. I know and I grow, and it starts to show. He quotes a guy named Benjamin Disraeli. The secret of success in life is for a man to be ready for his time when it comes. Too many times we're not ready. Opportunities present themselves, but we're not ready. We can't even recognize that the opportunity has presented itself because we're not ready. We haven't been growing. We're just not ready. I see this with people in business. I mean, a loose, let me give you some data here. 80% of business that start this year will be out of business in 5 years. And 80% of those businesses will be out of business in another 5 years. So I think that breaks down to about only 8% of the businesses that start make it 10 years. And it's because of high energy, maybe some charisma, somebody knows how to do something really, really well. They get out there and they're energetic about it, and they start building their business, and then their business consumes them and sucks them in because they don't stay out in front of the business.
Right.
So thanks for bringing up these phases.
And I guess that quote is true that you always are famous for saying one cannot outlive their performance and their self-esteem, correct?
Yeah. There's a Maxwell Maltz. He wrote a book that most people only read that if they were taking psych. They were a psych major in college. I didn't read it till I was in my mid-50s. But the book is Psycho-Cybernetics, and by Maxwell Maltz, and I think John quotes it in The Law of the Lid. But you cannot long outperform your self-image, and depending on what your self-esteem. We've talked about the self-esteem that goes along with a lot of us. We don't have the we got pretty good self-esteem, but sooner or later, if we don't build it, we don't grow. Then it consumes us. The last stage is I simply go because of what I know. The more we grow, the more we learn. I'll hit on that Zig Ziglar quote today. We're going to be the same 5 years from today as we are today, except for the people we hang around with, what we watch, what we listen to, and what we read. And the more we focus on that, who we hang out with, what we read, what we listen to, and what we watch, might be who we need to quit hanging out with, what we need to quit reading, what we need to quit listening to, and what we need to quit watching. As much as anything is me cutting back on TV. All right. So thankfully, in one sense, Last Man Standing got taken off the air by CBS, and so I've watched all the 70-something reruns 4 or 5 times. So okay. Anyway, I need to. So I take that 30 minutes, and I need to work on growing a little bit. So the 5 phases: well, I don't know what I don't know. Move into I know that I need to know. From there, I know what I don't know. I know and grow, and it starts to show. In phase 5, I simply go because of what I know. Think about that. I simply go because of what I know. Think about you, Hurdy, in your work around social media, around YouTube, around Google, around marketing, and how to use this type of marketing as part of somebody's sales process in their sales funnel. There's a lot of it you just know, and you're going because you're just going along because of what you know. And so you absorb things quicker and faster now than you used to, right?
Right, and there's a phrase in there which I think is critical to this step, and it says your day-to-day process, and then it goes on, and I'm highlighting this, your instincts will guide you.
Yeah. I think that's John. He doesn't. I'm trying to remember. He doesn't have a law of the law of intuition in there. John talks about the instinct, and you build that instinct, you build that intuition,
right?
Okay? You learn it. Okay, so yeah.
That's a good step, and I think that phase 5 also is a phase you could journal on, and we'll talk about authentic journaling from you in another podcast. But I think what that phase 5 does, Danny, is it allows you to evaluate where you're at in your process, right? Because if the knowledge that you're retaining is coming back and growing you, I think you know that that's the right mode to be in, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. I mean, Hurdy, I'm not going to be an overnight success. Very few people are an overnight success. They put in, who was it that, I think it was George Foreman, talked about that. I forget the quote right now, but it's the work that you put in the dark hours of the morning that allows you to shine under the lights of the ring. It's something like that. I messed it up a little bit. But the dark, it's what you do in the dark eyes. It's what you do in the dark hours of the morning that allows you to shine under the lights of the ring. We have to grow. We have to be better leaders. I don't care who you are. You've got to be a better leader from where you're at, leading yourself, leading up, leading around, leading down. I'm talking about the org chart. I'm not, talking about, levels of people or anything else. John also says, he talks in here about, wait a minute. Here's a Joe Frazier quote. Former heavyweight champ Joe Frazier stated, "You can map out a fight plan or a life plan, but when the action starts, you're down to your reflexes. That's where the road work shows. If you cheated on that in the dark of the morning, you're getting found out under the bright lights." Well, I guess it was Joe Frazier and not George Foreman. And anyway, I just butchered Frazier's quote there. But if you cheated on that in the dark of the morning, you're getting found out under the bright lights. We have to get in the ring. Champions don't become champions in the ring. It's just they're merely recognized there. That guy that won the Open yesterday, just caught a little bit of the story, but how many tournaments has he been playing? And
right.
and I love what he said. He said that he's been trying so hard to win, and he just quit trying to win and just started playing golf. I mean,
isn't that a key phrase? One of the words, Danny, I try to keep out of my vocabulary is trying. Trying to me is something that we shouldn't do, or we shouldn't use the word. I think trying is a word that gets you stuck. I don't know if that makes any sense to people, but I hear people use, well, I'm trying to do that, or I tried to do this. And to me, you just got to let go and quit trying. Just go do.
Yeah. That's
Well, he played good, by the way. Yeah. I watched the whole tournament.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, and Teddy Roosevelt is one of the men that I admire, and the stuff that he did. He gave when he was campaigning for McKinley back in 1899, 1900. The guy gave 673 speeches during that campaign. Traveled 20,000 or so miles, and just think about the way you had to travel, 115 years ago. While he was getting ready to give a speech somewhere up north, he got shot. But he insisted with a bullet in his rib cage, a broken rib. He insisted on giving the 1-hour speech before he went to the hospital.
Pretty amazing.
He was prepared. Too many of us, we're not prepared. And most people would consider him a great leader. But you read Roosevelt's story, and it wasn't an overnight success. He was constantly being prepared to get lucky, I guess you would say. Some people say that people are lucky. I know we've had some great discussions about being lucky, I'm not a big lucky person. I think we throw that out there. But Roosevelt was prepared to be lucky. Most aren't prepared. They're waiting for things to happen. All right, I'll learn that if somebody will pay me. I'll learn that. I'll do that if I know what the outcome is. Anyway.
So, have you ever heard of a Chinese theologian by the name of Watchman Nee?
I have not. Do I need to Google that real quick?
It's the name of the book. Watchman Nee wrote a book back a long, long time ago. I think you can buy it online. His process is sit, walk, stand.
Okay.
Sitting is the learning, walking is the process, and standing is the growth part where you keep going. Thought that was kind. Thought that was cool.
Okay, how you spell the guy's name?
Watchman, like Watchman, and then Nee, N-E-E. Watchman Nee. You can look him up online. You'll like his book.
Okay, cool.
All right, so Dean, question for you. You've been coaching for a long time, and with you're John Maxwell certified, and as somebody that's running their business is just starting out, right? Or they're in the middle of it, and they're in one of these phases, right? Or they're not in the phases at all. They haven't started to know what they need to know. They haven't even started. They don't know what they don't know. Where do they start? What is the step that they need to take? What do they need to do?
Well, I'm meeting with a group next week, and I'm telling them that they need to read John Maxwell's book, The 21 Irresistible Laws, or Irrefutable, I had to look down, The 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership. If you're only going to read one sales and marketing book, you're only going to read one leadership book, you're only going to read one business book, it needs to be the 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership.
Awesome.
Some people would say that you need to read, no, Danny, you need to read How to Win Friends, Influence People by Dale Carnegie. Okay? Maybe so. Okay, I'd take that argument. Some will say you need to read Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich. Disagree there. I think that's a great read. It's an important read, but it doesn't do what Carnegie's book or this Maxwell, this book here, will do. They need to start listening to certain podcasts. They need to listen to HBR, Harvard Business Review, their podcast series. There's a guy named Holmes about something greatness. He's got a great series there to listen to. You've got to decide what your process is. You've got to have a growth plan. You've got to engage. I'm a real high DI personality. You've heard me give this example a few dozen times. I'm a very high DI personality. I'm going through a business failure and I can't figure out what's going on. Yes, I'm in the mortgage business full time. If anybody doesn't know that, I spend most of my days on the streets, meeting, getting to know people, building relationships, or at my desk working on mortgage loan files and qualifying people and getting them to my processor and the rest of my team. But I had a large mortgage company. We had about 600 employees, and we were having to downsize. We were debt free. We thought we were doing everything right. Over a period of time, I got very melancholy, very analytical, and my wife told me that I needed to go up. She said, "I don't know what's going on, but you're not Danny. You need to go take one of those blood assessments of yours." So I went upstairs and I took a disc assessment. It said I was a very high SC. I'd become, I'll just say this, quiet and analytical. And that's not me at all. So I knew that I'd started acting like somebody that wasn't me. I was acting like somebody I did not want to be like. I wanted to be more. I needed to get going. I needed to get out in front of where I was at, because I was getting sucked into this quicksand that was a comfort zone. So I turned on Zig Ziglar, Jim Rohn, Howard Hendricks. I picked up my John Maxwell books, my Dennis Whitley books, and a few others, and I started just pouring all that stuff in. And I took that assessment a couple more times, and it took about 6 months before, boom, the DI popped back up and the SC was gone. My DI was almost not even there. So somebody that needs to change, they need to pay attention. They need to quit watching so much TV, get out of bed in the morning, and start reading. I read an hour a day, every day. No, I mean, there's no ifs, and there's no, I'm going to read. Oh, let me say this. I'm going to read or listen to a book or an author, a speaker that I'm paying attention to, a minimum of an hour a day. Back to the Zig Ziglar thing. If you want to do something, change, be more specific about what you're listening to, what you're reading, who you're hanging out with. I mean, I'm in your Business Warrior class for one main reason. I want to be around some people that can help me grow.
There you go. And I like doing presentations and things and workshops because it helps me grow out in front of myself. So, it's a two-way street, and I love that. So what did we miss on the law of process tonight, Danny? Anything?
I don't think so. I just want to, I do want to, here's something that I'm doing that I used to do, and as I've gone through, you've heard me talk about evaluation of past and do a timeline on the past. I think we did it on the call last week a little bit. Was it last week? Yeah, we talked about it. And one of the things that I realized that when I've had my successes in the past, one of the things that I was doing was I was exercising a lot. I was in great shape. And, about a year and a half ago, I decided I wanted to lose right at 20 pounds. It took me 15 months to do it, but it was slow. It was a growth. It wasn't a quick goal thing. Teddy Roosevelt, just talk about him again for a minute. Teddy Roosevelt, he was sick. He was a weakling as a kid. He was sickly. He was weak, had a great mind for a little kid, but his dad told him, dude, you got to work out. You got to do something. You have got, you don't have the stature. God didn't give you a very good physique. You're going to have to do that part yourself. And look up Teddy Roosevelt. That'd be hard to imagine that he was a weakling at some point. But, every day, Teddy Roosevelt worked on his body and worked on his mind. And that's the thing that here in this law of process, something that you and I haven't talked much about this, I don't think, Herdy, is that build your mind and build your body. Work on your health every day. And by the way, I'm not talking about just be careful about who you listen to about eating healthy. Let me just leave it like that. And
right.
There's a Dr. Shiriko here in town that I went and listened to a couple of years ago, and his talk was on the dangers of eating healthy. And a lot of what we listen to about health is totally dependent upon the media, and we know what it's just who's paying the big bucks to push it out there. So be aware of who you're paying attention to. So I'm going to talk about more of that in the coming podcast. But, Herdy, that's what I got. The long process. Leaders develop over time, not in a day. They've been developed daily, not in a day.
And you know what, Danny? Thank you. You guys have been listening to the Hurdyburg Broadcast Network, and if you want to go over to the Facebook group, it is the group's title, Power Hour Broadcast, Danny L. Smith. Power Hour Broadcast, Danny L. Smith. That group is public. All you do is join it. We'll prove it. We've got the law of the lid and the law process to put up. We'll have those posted here in the next couple of days on the Facebook group page. And we want to, again, thank you guys for being on episode 3 of the podcast, the Power Hour with Danny L. Smith.